Hi, and welcome to Reed's Audio Reading. I'm Reed, and I hope you enjoy my channel. Today I'll be reading the module Bloodstone Pass from the H series, specifically the Introduction and Chapter 1. This module was written by Douglas Niles and Michael Dobson. Introduction about this adventure. This adventure is designed for use with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Battle System, Fantasy Combat Supplement. You need both the AD&D books and the Battle System Supplement in order to play. The Bloodstone Pass adventure is designed for a party of 5 to 7 characters ranging from levels 13 to 17, of varying classes and abilities. Pre-generated player characters in the roster book are available if the characters in your campaign are not yet of requisite level. Unlike traditional dungeons or wilderness adventures, Bloodstone Pass is a battlefield adventure. In order to succeed, the characters must organize an army and defeat a numerical stronger enemy. The generalship of the players is at least as important as the power of their characters. Success depends on such factors as intelligence about the enemy, proper development of troops, use of defensive strategies, raids, and recruitment of allies. You can modify this adventure to suit characters of lower or higher levels. The available troops on both sides should remain constant, but the levels of leaders should go up or down at the same rate as the levels of the player characters. However, this adventure will not work as well if the player characters are lower than 5th level or higher than 20th level. Sometimes a character in this adventure must make an ability check against one of his character abilities strength, intelligence, dexterity, etc. The player rolls 1d20. If the result is equal to or less than the character's ability score in that area, the check succeeds. For example, a PC with a dexterity of 15 makes a dexterity check. If the die results is 15 or less, the check succeeds. If the result is 16 or more, the check fails. The DM, of course, may modify the ability check. For example, if the dexterity check is made at -3 on the die, a character with a dexterity of 15 must roll a 12 or less to succeed. Notes for the Dungeon Master. This module possesses unusual challenges for the Dungeon Master. The players have a wide range of options, not only because of the power and level of their characters, but also of their strategic battlefield options that present themselves. For example, most adventuring parties will think of mass morphing soldiers and hiding them in the forests, or of casting mass invisibility on troops and hiding them in the gully. The use of fly spells or other aerial resources will greatly change conventional medieval tactics. Since there are so many options available to the players, they will almost certainly do something that is not discussed in this module. That's okay. If you don't know quite how to handle it, take a deep breath and think about it. There's usually a way to handle the situation that is fair, does not ruin the rest of the adventure, and that can be coped with using the rules. For example, the battles in this adventure are mostly described as taking place just outside the village of Bloodstone, or, in one case, at the camp of the enemy forces. However, the players may decide to set up an ambush out of town or try to lure an enemy unit into an unwise attack somewhere else. If they try, let them. There's no reason all the battles have to take place where they are set in this module. Remember, however, that the leaders of the enemy forces are tough and willy. They will not fall for an obvious trap or behave in a particularly stupid manner. They can be fooled, though, if the players are clever enough. If your battlefield changes, just check the large map of the valley, figure out the basic terrain of the battlefield, set it up on the tabletop, and have at it. If the players try a particularly clever trap or trick, and if even a single member of the enemy force escapes, the enemy will be prepared for a repeat of the same trick. For example, if the players decide to place mass morphed archers in the woods to ambush the enemy will retaliate in the next battle by sending swordsmen into the woods to hack at the trees. If a unit of infantry hides In the gully, under an invisibility spell, the enemy may start by sending a volley of arrows into the gully. It is a mistake to try to restrict options of your players unfairly, but don't let them get away with murder either. If they come up with a plan that is so obvious any enemy commander worth his salt would figure it out, let the enemy commander act intelligently. Unlike most AD&D game adventures, which can be easily played around a card table, this battle system module requires a lot of space. You need to arrange of at least 4 times 8 tabletop or equivalent space. A ping pong table is ideal if you can find one. Beware of playing on the dining table. You usually have to clear off the table for dinner in the middle of a ferocious battle. Combine the counters in this game with the counters in the battle system game box to create the armies for this adventure. It's a good idea to use miniatures if you have them. For the major PCs and NPCs, fold them all the 3D adventure fold up pieces that are provided in this system before the adventure begins. You don't have to use them, but it makes the battlefield and village much more exciting. After this adventure is over, you can reuse the fold ups in many campaigns to come. Chapter 1: The Circus of Dr. Trundless. Summary of the adventure. DM's information only. A party of high level characters are recruited to save the small village of Bloodstone from an army of bandits. To achieve their mission, the characters must travel to Bloodstone, organize the peasants into an army, recruit allies, and fight a series of battles using the battle system Fantasy Combat Supplement. Background information. For many years, the Kingdom of Damara, where the PCs live, substitute names from your own campaign if desired, has been at war with the Kingdom of Vasa, its neighbor to the north. Vasa, ruled by an evil wizard of incredible power, has been slowly crushing its southern neighbor. Recently, disaster befell the armies of King Verdun of Damara at the Battle of Goliad. The king was killed and his forces routed. Now, the once great kingdom of Damara is a vassal state to Vasa. A northern province of Damara are now completely under the sway of Vasa. A steady stream of refugees has been moving south. Many were the people who had to abandon home, treasure, and friends to flee a terrible fate at the hands of the invaders. For now, the situation has stabilized. The kingdom of Damara is no more, but some of the more powerful dukes and barons in the southern province have become effectively independent. As long as they pay tribute to Vasa and acknowledge the power of their northern neighbor, they can maintain some shade of independent existence. The player characters in this adventure are all refugees from the north. If you use the pre generated characters provided in this game, their backgrounds are provided. If you use characters from your existing campaign, you must arrange for them to lose everything except their 3 favorite magic items and a purse full of gold pieces, no more than 100 gold pieces. Most players will not object to this since characters tend to accumulate a lot of minor magic items of limited use. If they do object, you may sweeten the pot by offering to give them a new reasonably powerful magic item to replace what they have lost. To introduce the new item, have the characters find it on his way south. You may even create a short scenario for it if you like. If you are using the pre-generated characters, or if one or more of the characters in your campaign have not met, tell each of the players that their character has come to the small town of Vals or Vals in the Duchy of Arcata. If all the characters in your campaign already know each other, they can, of course, travel in a group. The circle comes to town. Read the following, an all boxed copy when encountered, to the players. The great wars with the kingdom of Vasa have finally ended. The border lands are now in the hands of the enemy. The king is dead. The dukes and barons have become independent, and a steady stream of refugees has been moving south to find an elusive safety. You too are refugees. The wars have taken away your homes, your treasures, your families, and everything else you own except your reputation and your skill. You managed to salvage a few special items and a handful of gold from the disaster, but the expenses of travel have depleted even that. There is little wealth and little treasure in the backwater duchy of Arcata, where you have come. The town of Vals, capital of the duchy, is teeming with displaced people. Homeless, seeking to restore fortunes, you are looking for opportunity and adventure. Recently, you've had to resort to manual labor to earn your daily bread. If something doesn't turn up soon, you may have to start begging. Show the players map 1, Town of Vals. Let the players place their characters in the town. Vals is filled with refugees and inns are filled. If any character wishes to stay in the inn, the cost is 50 gold pieces per night. Deduct one night's lodgings from the character's remaining money. Characters can choose to perform manual labor for room and board, but the room consists of a sack of hay in the stable and the board of peasant stew. Some characters may choose to camp outside of town, especially if the characters already know each other. There is a 2 in 6 chance per night that their camp will be attacked either by a pack of wild animals, such as wolves, wargs, or tigers, or by a party of 6 to 10 bandits. You can also construct a special encounter for campers if you wish. During the day, characters can perform manual labor, wander around town, shop if they have any remaining cash, barter, or otherwise interact with the town and townspeople. Give characters 1 day to deal with the town. On the second day, all the characters hear about a circus parade to be held on the main street. All the characters should be motivated to attend the parade when the parade begins. It's another hot day in this dusty town. The streets teem with refugees begging, arguing, pleading. Every day it seems the crowd grows. Once powerful warriors carrying long swords strapped across their backs push through the crowds, hoping to find work. The stores have all raised their prices and soon will suck up every copper piece these poor refugees possess. But today is different. Today, the circus is in town. Excitement and pleasure have been a rare commodity lately, but this should change things. Everybody's talking about it. The circus parade will be at noon today. See map 1 for the route of the circus parade. If the characters all know each other, then they can cluster as a group. Otherwise, they should scattered along the parade route. The circus parade consists of 7 wagons pulled by horses. Embezzled on each wagon is the legend, the Circus of Dr. Trundless. Each wagon is a cage containing a strange beast. Each wagon has a human driver, except for the lead wagon. The lead wagon is driven by Dr. Trundless, a tall, skinny human illusionist of intermediate age, and his assistant, Tanaro, a little gnome fighter slash illusionist with a sparkling blue eyes. Statistics for the monsters and NPCs can be found at the end of this chapter. Each monster is held within a cage of imprisonment. This cage looks like a normal circus wagon, but as long as the door remains closed and the cage intact, creatures within the cage cannot use any magical abilities. None of the creature's physical abilities are impaired, but spell, breath weapon, shape changing, and all other magical abilities possessed by a creature are neutralized. The circus monsters in each cage are a Bullety, Wagon 1, a Chimera, Wagon 2, a Blue Dragon, Wagon 3, a Lamia, Wagon 4, a Fox Woman, Wagon 5, a Xorn, Wagon 6, and a Gibbering Mouther, Wagon 7. The colorful circus parade comes into view, pushing against the mob of humanity lining the main street. You see 7 wagons pulled by horses. Each wagon is embezzled with the words, "The Circus of Dr. Trundless." The sides of the wagon are made of bars, and through the bars you see creatures of surpassing strangeness. A tall, skinny man with a stovepipe hat stands atop the lead wagon. He has an absent minded look about him, and he is gesticulating wildly. This is the greatest, yes, the greatest show that you've ever graced. The world. I can't tell you how much troubles we went to for these strange beasts of myth and legend. Why, if I were to tell you how much trouble we went to, well, all I have to say is that we went to a great deal of trouble. Yes, a great deal of trouble. At this point, the man's assistant, a little gnome with sparkling blue eyes, climbs up the top of the wagon and says, "Let me handle this, Trundless." The tall man looks startled, then looks down at his assistant and nods vacantly. As he steps down onto the driver's seat of the wagon, he stumbles and nearly falls off. The gnome quickly grabs him and makes sure he is safely seated, and then turns to the crowd. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," he shouts enthusiastically. "The greatest show on Orith is playing here for 3 days only." That's right, 3 days only. Gretcher Ducats now by coming out of the circus grounds of this afternoon. See strange creatures of the night, captured and brought here for your delectation and delight. In the first wagon, we have the incredible land shark, a strange beast that resulted from a mad wizard experimental crossbreeding of a snapping turtle and an armadillo with a touch of demon's blood. It's the only one in captivity. And just behind, we have the strange chimera, the hind quarters of a goat, the four parts of a lion, and wings of a dragon, and 3 heads. I always say that 3 heads are better than one. And now you can see for yourself. And in the third cage, a fine old specimen of a blue dragon. Look at that expression. The creature would eat me alive in a second, if given a chance. See it in safety at the circus of Dr. Trundless. Next is the strange and mysterious Lamia with the torso of a beautiful woman and the body of a beast. Beware of the Lamia's embrace. She feasts on human blood and flesh. In the fifth wagon, the incredibly rare and beautiful fox woman. Now in her vixen form, she seems to be a mixture of fox and elf. She has two other forms as well, a silver fox and an elven maid. We keep her in the vixen form because it's safe. It's safest. When she becomes an elf, she is the most beautiful, the most compelling, the most incredibly attractive woman you have ever seen. Ladies, never let your husbands look on the elven form of a fox woman. You will never see them again. Next, we have a fine specimen of the race of Zorn. Look at those jaws atop his head. They're made of stone, as is the rest of his powerful and fantastic creature. He can snap you in two with a single bite. It takes a powerful magic spells to keep this creature penned up, for it can sink through solid earth and vanish before you know it. And finally, the strangest, most fantastic beast known to mankind, the Gibbering Mouther. This strange beast is composed entirely of mouths and eyes, and beware the sounds it makes, for it can bring you under its spell before you know it. The funny little gnome pauses to take a deep breath. See these fantastic creatures and and much, much more in perfect safety at the world-renowned circus of Dr. Trundless, the greatest show on the world, and in fact, in the world prime material plane. Don't be afraid of these beasts, however dangerous and powerful and horrible they are, for the powerful sorcery of Dr. Trunless, wizard of wizards, mage of mages, enchanter of enchanters. Dr. Trunless looks up at the gnome and stage whispers, "Speed it up, Tenaru." Anyway, the gnome continues, "See it all tonight at the one, the only circus of Dr. Trundless." The gnome begins to prance and caper on the roof of the wagon, antagonizing the land shark within. The creature, enraged, begins crashing its considerably weight against the side of the cage. Again, again, and again. Tanaru, the gnome, pleased at the crowd's reaction, starts his spiel over again, then suddenly, disaster. At this point, and before any of the characters can react or perform any action, the land shark comes crashing out of its cage. It seems the magical protection, protections of Dr. Trundless could not withstand the brute force of a bullet forever. The bullet reels around, glaring at the crowd, then charges towards the rear of the circus parade, tearing the sides from all of the circus wagons. This action takes one round. The players are now entitled to an action. In order to get through the crowd without the use of magic, the characters must push their way through a panicked mob of people running away from the parade. The air is filled with screams as the terrified crowd runs for safety. It takes two full rounds for the characters to get in the clear. By this point, the creatures of the circus should all have escaped. See this menagerie freed by the charging land shark. Dr. Trundless begins to scream, "My pets! My pets! Please capture my pets! Don't hurt them! Please don't hurt them! They don't mean any harm." Tanaru, obviously the more practical of the two, shouts, "1,000 gold pieces reward for each creature captured alive! These are valuable specimens. 1,000 gold pieces reward! Capture them alive!" The bullet is typical for that species, tries to charge, kill, and eat anyone within range. Whatever the odds, the Chimera, the Blue Dragon, and the Lamia, all evil and intelligent, work together to attack anyone who bothers them. Their primary goal is escape. The Foxwoman changes to Elven Women form. This takes two full rounds after her cage is opened. She uses her calmlessness to charm any male that comes after her, with emphasis on fighters and fighter subclasses. If she charms anyone, that character fights to defend her and aid in her escape. She uses her spells in her own defense, but does not act to help any of her fellow circus creatures. The Zorn leaves its cage one round, adjusts its molecular structure, then phases into the ground to escape. The Gibbering Mouther oozes out of its cage, changes the ground around it to quicksand, and gibbers at anyone who comes within range. It spits at any character not confused by the gibbering. Dr. Trundless faints and falls off the wagon. As he sees this as his creatures escaping, the Tenaru goes to his aid. Neither of them participates in the capture of the creatures. True to his word, Tenaru pays 1,000 gold pieces to the characters for each creature captured, but nothing for creatures who were killed or who escaped. Unfortunately, this incident causes tonight's circus performance to be called off. They have to reconstruct the cells and re enchant them to keep the creatures inside. Or else, Tenaru adds, there would be free tickets for the heroes as well. One Dr. Trundless, Dr. Trundless wakes up from his faint, he sees to the creatures who were captured, makes sure they are immobilized or unconscious, asking the characters for help as needed, then offers to buy a few rounds at the local tavern. The streets, of course, are now deserted. Many refugees have fled town, and all the store owners have closed and barred their shops. But two young boys remain on the streets where the battle took place, looking with awe at the brave adventurers who risked their lives to save the populace of Vals. They approach the party, hats in hand. "Oh, sir," s- says the taller of the two boys. Excuse me, please, but can we talk to you for a minute? It's very important." If the characters agree to talk to the boys introduce themselves as Garland and Garvin of the town of Bloodstone. As you will see below, the two boys, who are actually cousins, continually interrupt each other as they talk. "The way you took out those monsters was absolutely amazing," says Garland, the taller of the two. "Yes, amazing," echoes Garvin. "Oh, well, we've been looking for brave heroes like you," he continues. Garland interrupts, saying, "Yes, but everybody we've tried to talk to have been too busy." Garvin interrupts again, saying, "Too busy, right? And something's downright mean to us, and we're here. Yes, we're here about our village and our people. We need help," says Garland, interrupting still again. "You've got to keep us. We have money. Right, we can pay 5 silver pieces a day for to each of you." It takes a while for the characters to worm the boys' story out of them. Basically, the boys explain that they are from the town of Bloodstone, located in the Bloodstone Pass that cuts through the immense Galena mountain range. Tell the players that their characters have heard of the Bloodstone Pass, which was once an important trade route. When the sea route around the Galena mountain range was opened up, a dragon turtle that was menacing shipping was killed. The pass became less used, and the town of Bloodstone, once a thriving community, fell on hard times. This was bad enough, but worse was to come. As the war with the kingdom of Vasa continued, the Bloodstone Pass became more and more cut off from the rest of the kingdom of Damara. Many areas of the Galena reverted to anarchy, and out of anarchy sprang a new leader. Little is known of the strange, powerful leader who has built a powerful army in the Galena Mountains. His name is never mentioned, but the tread of his army is fearful throughout the region. The little town of Bloodstone, defenseless for many years, fell under his sway early, and the people of Bloodstone have bled white, paying a terrible annual tribute in food, money, and slaves. Some of the people in Bloodstone, fearing the consequences of rebellion, have counseled submission to external fate, feeling that the life of humankind is always hard. But a brave few, feel the fate of the village can yet be altered. And so Garland and Garvin have come down from the mountains to seek heroes. Heroes to defend Bloodstone against aggression. Heroes to liberate the peasants from their oppressive yoke. Heroes like the characters, who just defeated 7 very powerful monsters. The pay is not great, 5 silver pieces a day, and room and board. But it is all the poor village can afford. The danger, on the other hand, is great, for the army of the mysterious leader probably numbers in excess of 1,000. Garland and Garvin know that there are humans, orcs, goblins, giants, and other creatures associated with the army. The village population numbers 1,000, but fewer than that are capable of fighting. Most of the men in the village have long swords and some have bows. There is a little less. If the PCs require additional motivation before accepting this mission, Garland and Garvin tell them about the famous Bloodstone mines from which the pass took its name. Once, the mines produced stones worth over 100,000 gold pieces annually. But one day, a nameless evil awoke deep beneath the earth. From that day since, no one who has ventured into the mines has returned to tell the tale. Yet, it is prophesied that one day the mines will be freed of evil and produce wealth beyond imagining. Garland and Garvin can also mention rumors that the bandits have accumulated a great store of treasure in their mountain hideaway. This is not true, but the young men don't know this. Garland and Garvin plead for the heroes to help their people, if the characters are still reluctant. If the characters look around for other adventuring opportunities before accepting the Bloodstone mission, they find nothing in the town of Vals. If the group refuses to help the town, the 2 young men leave dejected, after providing the PCs with directions to Bloodstone in case they should change their minds. If the characters finally decide not to take the mission, this, of course, ends the adventure. Better luck next time. Assuming the characters agree to aid the poor citizens of Bloodstone, Garland and Garvin tell them that the tribute is normally collected within 2 weeks after the annual harvest, which is now 1 week away. It takes about 2 weeks to reach Bloodstone on foot or 1 week on horseback. Garland and Garvin have no horses. The characters may purchase any normal supplies or equipment that they can afford. All items listed for sale in the player's handbook are available in Vals for 3 times the normal price. Refugees and inflation drive up prices. Intelligent players may decide to buy things relevant to a military expedition, such as 100 longswords or spearheads for 500 spears, or casks of oil, etc. Allow them to make any reasonable non magical purchase. Merchants may even be willing to negotiate special prices for large purchases. The players think of hiring mercenaries or additional troops, they can do so. Recruiting and organizing a unit takes 1 full week. A unit of 120 first level fighters armed with long swords costs 3,000 gold pieces. A unit of 120 first level fighter, a light cavalry armed with lances, costs 7,000 gold pieces. Other unit mixes are possible. Set the actual price within the above ranges. No troops higher than third level are available under any circumstances, nor are any troops, henchmen, or hirelings with magical skills, equipment, or ability. Garland and Garvin tell the characters that the village will house no more than 120 additional men under any circumstances. If a unit is hired, it serves until the campaign is over, then leaves unless a good deal of money is expended to keep it permanently. If the characters attempt to recruit Dr. Trundless, Tanaru, or the circus creatures, they get a polite but firm refusal. Also, the circus is not hiring at this time. Once the purchases are made and the party organized, the characters can depart for Bloodstone. Thank you for listening to this audio reading of Bloodstone Pass, the introduction and chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed and have a great day. Best regards, Reed.